And while we're at it, why don't we destroy Tibet's autonomy? It's a time-honored tradition in this region of the world. Hello everybody, my name is YujimboXD and welcome to the channel. You know, I can't tell you the amount of times I've woken up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night wondering, when is Tannu Tuva finally going to get a focus tree? Well, today we have the mod that finally answers our prayer. Yes, because this week we have something that I was hinting at last week. We have the Great Tannu Tuva mod, which is simply a mod that adds a focus tree for Tannu Tuva. I don't know what else you expected. So when we look at our leaders, you can tell this is just going to be the base game with just a more fleshed out Tannu Tuva. And of course, leading our country, we have our exemplary Commissar Salchak Toka, famous for leading a coup to take over Tannu Tuva, as everyone knows, and it's definitely not something I just looked up on Wikipedia, but we'll just have to see how things play out and see if he sticks around. Something tells me he won't. Alright, so we have Iron Man mode off, and the mod recommends leaving AI focus on. Alright, so here we are in Tannu Tuva, and we have a quick disclaimer from the dev saying that this is a more story-focused mod, and that we shouldn't focus too much on the wars. But don't worry, I'll find the war in there one way or another, I'm sure. But yes, as I said, here we are in the Tuvan People's Republic, as it's known. We start off as a puppet of the Soviets, and start off in their faction with them with Mongolia. And in case you're completely lost and you have no idea what the heck a Tuvan is, long story short, when China fell apart, it's a piece of China that fell under the protection of the Russian Empire. And when they became the Soviet Union, they sent Tannu Tuva some weapons to help them with their less than cooperative political parties, as in everyone who is not communist got purged. But when you say purging, I say opportunity. And speaking of opportunity, here is the big focus tree that we were promised. And look at it, it's huge. And it's got like a dozen different paths you can do that are all really well fleshed out. So it's definitely tempting you with lots of replayability options. This is definitely the kind of focus tree I like to see. So we are spoiled for choice. What do we pick? Well, the democratic path is for nerds. And while there are plenty of options to go right, I don't think I need to spend my time trying to reassert our claim over the swastika. I don't think that's a battle I want to pick here on YouTube. So instead, I think we're going to go the monarchist path. If we're going to make believe we're relevant, we might as well dream big. So let's see what we have to work with here. We have 4 factories, 5 manpower, and 1 research slot. So we're not exactly what you would call an economic powerhouse. We're more like an outhouse. So like we said earlier, this mod will have some lore in it. This is just telling us what I've already said, basically, that we are basically a breakaway enclave of the ex-Qing Empire. And then later there were some communist shenanigans and they took over. So not only do we have a new focus tree, one of the other core features to this mod is they have given us a bunch of decisions to play with, and more will unlock later. But to start, we have a budget that we need to balance. And right now we're doing all right, we're in the green. But there is a price tag attached to some of these focuses, so I really don't know how we're going to be able to afford them. I will say the one upshot of starting communist is we can immediately switch to a war economy. Not that that made any difference. Sometimes it just feels better to pretend like you're getting ready for war. So in order to get rid of the commies, we have to do a coup d'etat. So we're going to start offering cash prizes to anyone who wants to get involved in our coup. Be the 10th rebel to break into the Capitol building and win 20,000 Tuvan bucks. Alright, we persuaded like half the government to join our coup, but more importantly, that unlocks our focus to establish a monarchy. I'll be interested to see if I can break away from the Soviets in under the first year. Nice, and there we go. It's only November, and we got a new flag, and we broke away from the Comintern. Now we just need to sort out who our new leader will be. So our options are either a Romanov or Dewang. So now we have to decide what to do with Toka. We could exile him to the Soviet Union, but I think it's better to keep him close, just so he can witness the folly of communism. Yes, we need to shed our communist shell and go back to the past. So we're going to rename our cities. The only downside of doing this is we might have pissed off the Soviet Union. Yeah, we basically have 580 days to get recognized by them, or they're going to stomp us into the earth. Oh, but look, Germany's offering us a chance to join the anti-Comintern pact. No. I don't think I'd like to continue to piss off the Soviet Union. So what we can actually do instead is seek recognition. It'll also help remove this big political debuff we have, so it'll solve 2 problems at once. Well, we now have to actually choose which of the leaders we want, and I think for once we're going to stick with the Asian focus, and we're going to choose Prince Dewang. Also, because if we choose the Romanov path, I'm almost certain we're going to have to fight Russia, and the idea of fighting through the no-supply hellscape that is Siberia fills me with dread. This area is probably on par with South America, with one of the worst areas in the map to have to supply and attack through. So there we have it, Dewang arrives, and it looks like he's already settling into the Khan throne. So in order to start smoothing things over with the Russians, we need to first improve our relationship. They think we're a bit of a faction traitor, but I would argue when we got into this arrangement, Russia, you were led by a czar. We didn't have any of this communist business, that came later. So you have alter the deal, and I just have to pray you didn't alter it further. But we'll try and be your friends for now because you have an ungodly amount of divisions and I don't. Also, we did a bit of celebrating by setting your commie money on fire. All right, now that the Soviet Union has a positive opinion of us, we can now start trading with them and improving our relations via decision. We essentially get a point every time we do that, and once we get to 10 points, they'll recognize us. And it looks like Emperor Puyi, the leader of Manchukuo, sent us an angry letter once he found out about our plans to reform the Mongolian Empire. You can tell he's pissed by the use of his colorful language that I'm strategically blocking with my mouse. But that's alright, I think he and Japan will be a little too busy for a while to worry about us. So we brought in some old generals to help beef up the staff of the army. And we replaced the crappy armed forces of the Tuva debuffs with the crappy Imperial Mongolian army debuffs. So we just finished the cavalry horde focus, which unlocks a decision that allows us to train units for free. So even though we have 0 manpower, we can still spawn in some free units. Maybe we're just calling on some old family members. After all, there are 16 million men in the world related to Genghis Khan, so that's a pretty big family. Alright, so we've raised our recognition to a high enough point with the UK and the Soviet Union that we can finally get some respect around here. So first we're going to click the please don't kill me button, and then we're going to click on the please give me more political power button. And look at that, the Soviets don't want to murder us anymore, and we're getting slightly more political power now. And I was going to start improving relations with Japan, but I think I need to complete the focus for it first, because they're calling me a son of a Mongolian prostitute, which is just rude. It's true, but it's still rude. Well, we have a moderate-sized horde now. I feel like we can actually do something with it. So I think I'm a little tired of being called a Tannu Tuvan, so I think we need to get ourselves our old identity back. Alright, it's been a few hundred years, but I think it's time for the Mongolian army to ride again. So they left some holes in their line, so we get to play who's faster, man or horse. And where'd all their divisions go? Are they just running away from me? They must have heard the sound of our hooves and ran in fear. Alright, there we go. Look at me, I'm Mongolia now. And not just any Mongolia, a great Mongolia. And it looks like the people tried to celebrate my new achievement by yeeting a bomb at me. So now we have to deal with communist terrorists, which I guess comes with its own super event, with Chad Pipington just hanging out in the corner over here. But with new territory comes the joy of building infrastructure. A Mongolian region where I have to build lots of infrastructure. I'm starting to get Unification War flashbacks. So we need to start hunting down the terrorists, so we're just going to start setting dump trucks full of cash on fire to do it. Apparently that will calm the population down. Well, China and Japan are still at war, but at least there's one thing they can agree on, that I'm a real country. And don't worry, soon you can be part of that country. Well, we're retraining our generals, and we have an opportunity to make a real man out of Dwang and make him a field marshal. And who wouldn't want to follow Field Marshal Dem Chug Dong Grub? Well, it looks like we have the rebels on the run now, and they fled back over the border to the Soviet Union. So I think we need to strengthen the border, otherwise they might have an opportunity to come back. And now it looks like we went in an ass-crippling dent trying to hunt down all these terrorists. I think it's time for a Matthew Lesko special.
Hi, I'm Matthew Lesko, and I have an amazing new system that's gonna change your life! It's Danger Doom!
There we go, problem solved. Lesko provides. Hey, while we're at it on our little spending spree, why don't we buy ourselves a new research slot? Considering it's 1939 and we haven't even touched infantry equipment. And it looks like we finally hunted down the traitor to his lair. But I guess our prince is so good he used his eagle vision to see through the hut and shot him. And to celebrate his death, we're going to ban communism. Oh, and dissolve our own parliament. That democratic practice is a little too communist for my taste. I prefer the taste of Mongolian beef. So, Wang's second decree, after slapping around the Mongolians, is that he wants a brand new shiny road to show off to the world. You know, so we can spread trade, and it's definitely not so I can supply my armies to invade you. So now we have a new set of decisions to build the road, and it really just involves dumping a ton of money and manpower into it. But at least we have some opportunity to build some much needed supply hubs. Well, Dwang wrote a new constitution, and he had that little thought that occurs to most dictators. You know the one. After all, why should I share power? I am the greatest human being alive after all. So he's declared himself the emperor. And we got ourselves a spiffy new flag, and boy did he give himself one heck of a portrait. He looks just as surprised as the rest of the world that he's the emperor. Well, we finished our railroad, and we got a couple trains to even go with it. The infrastructure over here is starting to look a little bit better now, but more importantly unlocks our focus to return home to Manchukuo. Hopefully Japan won't mind me yoinking their puppet. Guess not. Thanks for the free real estate. Up next, I think we're going to assassinate Emperor Puyi. Call me up. Will you? Well, let's just see how you feel when me and the bros put you in the ground. Well, while we're planning this little assassination attempt, I think it's time for some more land. And Japan looks like they have China nice and distracted. How many warlords can I knock down before they realize I'm a threat? So first up, I'm going to try and snipe Sinkang. Will the other Chinese warlords come in and help them out? No, I don't believe so, because that war's over already. Well, interestingly, Japan is offering us a non-aggression pact, which I'm going to accept. But what I won't accept is a non-aggression pact from their foul-mouthed puppet. I have other plans for them. But before I continue in China, I think we need to first sort out Tibet, and they should be more willing to accept being our puppet since we finished the focused Buddhist favor. But might as well have a little bit of insurance, just in case. Oh good, and they agreed. All they had to do was take one look at our regal emperor and understand that we are meant to rule them. Man, I can't remember the last time I actually used the reorganize the railway system option. I almost forgot it was in the game. But that 300% construction speed for supply hubs is really gonna help us out, because while you see me getting new territory, I see myself getting new infrastructure projects. Well, I'm still spamming a cavalry unit every 30 days, but I just noticed my plot against Puyi is finished. Hopefully Japan won't mind me assassinating their puppet. And since I have a non-aggression pact with Japan, I should be able to snatch up this land without them getting involved. What just happened? I suddenly got all of China under my control, and now I'm at war with communist China. What the hell? I swear I didn't do console commands or anything. I am thoroughly confused. This didn't even happen in practice. That decision didn't even finish yet. I have no idea what happened. That might be one of the most random things that has ever happened to me in any game of Hearts of Iron. Thanks for the free China, I guess. Is it because I finished this focus? There was no event pop-up that gave me any information as to what happened. I guess it was this focus where I just made a demand to China, and they just said yes to giving me the whole country. Except communist China. You know, Mao's gonna be Mao. Oh hey, and the US wants to send us some support. Thanks. And we finished that decision to go to war with Japan's puppet, and they immediately converted into the Qing Empire and are at war with a bunch of people. So I think that means I'm actually going to get away with it. In communist China's eagerness to take my land, they've managed to get themselves encircled in a whole bunch of different places. Meanwhile, I'm just wave assaulting in the north. I got the manpower to spare now. There we go, they left their capital undefended. Now I can focus my attention on this mess. And while we're at it, why don't we destroy Tibet's autonomy? It's a time-honored tradition in this region of the world. There we go, my cavalry tried to go in every direction but their victory points, but we got there eventually. Also, I just remembered I took proper heritage a while ago. So now that we have the manpower for it, I think it's time we got some proper cavalry units. Throat singing intensifies. Well, there goes Tibet. You may not have any land anymore, but at least they'll give your soldiers some free ponies. All right, bust out the good yurt because the Mongolian Empire is back. So there is a little bit left to our focus tree, but I'll just spoil it now and just say that it basically involves us just going to war with literally the entire planet. Just so you aren't left feeling gypped, allow me to simulate what it would be like attacking through Siberia for you. Ah, where the fuck is all my supply? That's basically what that would look like. But hey, we can always come back and look at the Romanov path and experience what that hell would feel like. So yeah, that was the Great Tannu Tuva mod, and I have to say that was an excellent focus tree and an excellent mod. I really enjoyed that. I would highly recommend this one. It turns out when you have a mod just focusing on one focus tree, you can make that focus tree really well polished. So I hope you all enjoyed your Dem Chung Dong rub. But that is where we'll leave it all for tonight. If there are any mods or suggestions you'd like to see, let me know down in the comments below. All right, have a great night, everyone.